Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Bones Collector Show. And this morning I've got a great topic of board games to talk about, and it's the top 10 games that you may have missed. And I can't wait to show you these games. I'm very excited about it. It's so awesome to be able to talk about board games. I'm passionate about it, and these games are games that are in my collection that I just don't think get enough buzz. But before I start on that, I'd like to say just a quick shout out to my friend Isaac and all the encouragement he gives me for this channel, and he's just such a great friend. I appreciate it very much. And Isaac's daughter, Lily, has a YouTube channel called The Theme Park Kid. So check her out on YouTube. She's a lot of fun, and she knows everything about the theme parks here in Orlando, Florida. And so yeah, look her up. And she's actually been here to the Bones Collector's house and played board games. So she's a lot of fun, a great gal, and look her up and like her on YouTube. So okay, let's get started. Back to the subject of games that you may have missed. These games just don't get a lot of publicity, and when I watch YouTube reviews and so forth on some of these games, some reviewers have given these games less than stellar reviews or opinions, and I don't understand that really, because the games I'm going to show you are excellent games. They're in my game collection, my game library, and I keep a 200 game library here at my house, which is quite a few, but you have to have a limit somewhere, and that's where I draw the line. And but to make that 200 game library, it has to be a very, very good game. So these are games that are out of my library that I just feel like need more push or more publicity, more buzz, and for people to pick them up. So let's get started. Okay, the first game I'm going to talk about is Santiago de Cuba. Santiago de Cuba is a game that is designed by Michael Reineck, and Michael Reineck did a game with Stefan Feld called Merlin. So he's a very good board game designer, and I really, really like this game for a number of reasons. One of the reasons is the game board is so small. As you can see, it's kind of a small box, and the board fits in here nicely, but it's folded, and it's folded three ways, so it's very small. And sometimes that's very nice, especially if you're want to get in a nice meaty Euro game that doesn't take up a lot of space, and sometimes you just don't want to set up an Acrony or Scythe or something like that. So you want to play something that doesn't take up a lot of time to set up, and it doesn't have a big spread. So this game fits that bill and fills that void very nicely. So Santiago de Cuba is about the city of Santiago in Cuba. And on the board, you're going to randomly lay out some action tiles that you're going to move to with a little car. It's a cute little car you move around the island and collect resources, and you're going to ship those resources, and the value of them is determined by some dice that you'll roll. And then also you get secondary action for whatever space you choose. So it's got a lot of crunch to it for a little tiny box, a little tiny game, and I really, really like that. Especially, there's some other Euro games. A lot of Stefan Feld's games have smaller boards, and yet they're very, very complex and fun to play. And this one isn't really complex, but it goes very quickly, and it has a lot of meat to it, and I really, really enjoy this game, and you should really pick it up. The only problem is it's out of print, so you're going to have to like get it at a garage sale or off of Craigslist, which is where I got this copy, and maybe you'll find it somewhere. So check it out. If you see this game and you can remember that you saw this video, pick this game up. It is very, very cool. Santiago de Cuba. Alright, the next game I'm going to talk about is called Colony. Colony is by Bezier Games, and I have quite a few games in my library by Bezier, and they're all terrific. I mean, all the ones that I own. I've got Suburbia, Subdivision, Whistle Stop, Favor of the Pharaoh, and this one is excellent also. It's a dice chucker, and one thing I require from dice games is that it's not lucky dice games. I can't stand games where you roll dice and you win or lose on the roll of the dice. This game is a dice drafting game, and you use a set of cards, and if you've never ever seen a box of Dominion cards, this game is laid out the same way. All the cards are divided in groups in an insert inside this box, so it's a wonderful production. A lot of dice. I don't know how many dice are in here, but it's a lot. And but you roll the dice, and you're going to choose one dice, and your opponent's going to choose a die, and you're going to get the die that's left over in a two-player game. As the player counts increase, it changes. But this is a point race game. You're going to race to 20 points, and that's one of the things that makes it terrific. You have a market of cards you're going to purchase to build an engine, and each card is worth 1, 2 points, or whatever it says on the card, sometimes more than that. And the first person to put their marker on number 20 on the points racetrack wins the game. And I tell you, it's so exciting. I don't know how many times my wife Lori has beaten me when I thought I had the game won. I would be on 19. I've squeezed every point out of my engine that I possibly could, and I couldn't get another point. I ended on 19, and she would take her turn, and she's on like 14 or something, you know, and gets the necessary 6 points out of her engine to beat me by 1 point. It's happened to me a couple of times, and it drives me crazy. But that's what makes board gaming exciting. That's what makes Colony exciting. Pick this game up, you won't be sorry. Next game I'm going to talk about is Otis, and this is a game that let's see, I think I've had it for a couple of years now, and it's relatively inexpensive. Otis, I think you can find it for like 26 bucks on Amazon, which surprises me because it's a very, very nice production. And in Otis, the theme of the game is there's been some kind of a horrible event on Earth, and almost all of the Earth is underwater, so any work you have to do, you have to actually get in have divers that go down underwater and do that work, whether it's gathering resources or building things or whatever they happen to be doing. But you're going to have tiles that form an elevator, hence the name Otis. So you have, I think, maybe 10 tiles, and they're stacked on one another, and you take that action of that tile, and wherever it falls in that elevator, you slide it out, and it goes back up to the surface, and the rest of those tiles slide down, and then and that forms your elevator action. And you just keep using those actions wherever you happen to be, whatever action you happen to want to take, and that elevator just continually shifts. The game is a ton of fun. Again, it doesn't get a lot of buzz, which I can't understand because it's terrific. It's a terrific production, and it's a terrifically fun game. And we have a great time playing it. It's going to stay in my library for a long, long time. Otis. Okay, this next game is called My Village. And My Village is the dice version of a game that you might be familiar with called Village. And the name of the designer is Inca and Marcus Brand, and I want to mention their names because they've got a new game out that's supposed to be really good that I haven't played yet. But Village I'm in love with, and I'm also in love with this game, My Village. The dice version of Village, the reason why I want to give a shout out for this game is because a lot of games, popular board games, will do a dice version, and they're just not very good sometimes. And my example is Nations, the board game. Terrific game. The dice version of the game just didn't do anything for me. Istanbul, terrific board game. When they made Istanbul the dice game, they made it so simple that it just wasn't very fun. So I want to thank the Brands for making a game just as meaty and just as gamey as their original Village. But My Village is very similar to Village. Time is the currency that you use, so you're whenever you take an action or whenever you buy something, it's going to cost you time. And as that time expires, your little villagers are going to pass on, and that is one of the coolest mechanics that I've ever seen in board gaming, and I love it in Village. I love it in this game, and again, it's just a terrific, terrific dice version of the game Village. And if you haven't picked it up, and I think it's been on sale like 4 or 5 times for $9.99 at Cool Stuff down the street here, and I just can't believe that people don't have this in their board gaming library. So this is really a terrific game. Pick it up, My Village. All right, this is a, quite an old game called Sunrise City. I don't know how, let's see what year this came out. 2012. But that doesn't make it any less, less fun. I mean, the game has been out for a few years, and it's a tile laying game. You start out laying down foundation tiles in a city, and the foundation tiles have colors on them. And so when you have, you're going to have 4 building tiles at a time that you play out of your hand, and the building tiles, when you lay them down, they have to match those foundation tile colors. And that's part of the restriction of how you lay those tiles down. And it depends on what layer they're on as to how you score them. The tiles themselves have point totals on them. But the interesting thing about this game, the most interesting thing, is the way you score. You don't score, the total points is what wins the game. The points track only goes up to 10. But if you land your marker right on 10, you get 2 medallions instead of 1, little star medallions. And it's the number of star medallions that you have at the end of the game that wins the game for you. So landing on 10 is paramount. So you have to plan as you're playing the game. There's been so many times in this game I'm like, I don't want to score 6 points. I want to score 1 point so I can go from 9 to 10 and get the 2 stars instead of going around, because if you go past 10 you only get 1 star. And again, the more stars you have in the game, the person with the most stars wins the game. So you want to land on 10 as many times as possible. But that's what makes this game intriguing. That's what makes it fun. And I'm telling you what, it's a great production. This box is very heavy. If I had my bathroom scale right here, I'd weigh this thing, and I don't know, it's at least 5 or 6 pounds. I mean, the tiles are amazing in this game, and I don't know, it just doesn't get enough buzz. That's Sunrise City. So pick it up. You'll love it. All right, this next game is called Xi'an. And Xi'an is a game about the Chinese Terracotta Army. I don't know what year, like 604 or 246 BC. That's a long time ago. But it's a terrific game about painting statues of the Terracotta Army. And you're going to, in the game, it's a action selection mechanism, and you have hand management. You have a group of 20 cards, each player, and when you've used those 20 cards, you play 2 at a time, and once you've gone through them, that's the end of the round. And I forget how many rounds there is. I think maybe, is that the end of the game? I can't remember. Once you go through those cards, gosh, I can't remember if it's the end of the game or the end of the round. But it's a terrific game of hand management, because those cards, you play 2 at a time, and you can only use, I think the top of one card and the bottom of another. And I can't quite remember, but man, I tell you what, the game is a ton of fun, and it's very challenging intellectually, and that's something that is very important in your board gaming, because if you don't have enough meat on the bone for your brain to chew on, you're going to get bored with the game and you're going to get rid of it, or you're not going to play it. It's going to sit in the closet. When games are like this, where they're intellectually challenging and have enough brainy gymnastics in them that keep you coming back for more, you want to get it to the table as much as possible, and Sheehan delivers that in spades. What a great game. All right, the next game I'm going to talk about is Flatline. And Flatline is called the Aftershock game by Kane Klenko. Kane Klenko had a game come out a few years ago called Fuse, and this is kind of the sequel to Fuse. In Fuse, you were defusing bombs, and in this game, the bombs have gone off, and you're like healing the patients, the people that got hurt on your ship. So the thing about this game is it's real time. And I'm not a big fan of real-time games. I have 2 real-time games in my 200 game library, this one and Fuse, because they're intriguing and they're a blast to play. And in Flatline, you're going to have requirements of dice that you have to roll, and you have to have certain combinations of these very elegant dice. I mean, this game has some terrific looking dice in it. And you roll the dice, and you have a time limit to where you're trying to cure these patients. So that's what, that's what real time's all about. You can't take forever. But you can talk, it's cooperative. You can talk to the other players as much as you want. Hey, I've got this one covered. I'll put these 2 dice here, you put those 2 there. And man, it's just go, go, go with rolling dice. And it's so much fun. It's so engaging. I just feel like there's not enough buzz about this game, and it's a terrific time. It's going to be in my gaming library for, I can't imagine it leaving, because it's just fun to put on the table. The production is magnificent. The dice are great. The board is nice and beautiful production on the board, and you will have a ton of fun playing this game. It's the Bee's Knees Flatline. Okay, I'm going to talk about a little box game called Hanauma Koji. Can you see that? Hanauma Koji. I think I played this last year. It might have been the year before. This game was out for a while in Japan, and but it finally got printed in English, and I think it was either 17 or 18. I can't remember. But the thing about this game is it's perfect. It's a small box game. Retails for 12 to 15 bucks, and you have some oversized cards that are about the size of this box. I think there's 7 of them, and each one's a different geisha girl, and you want those geishas to favor you. It's strictly a 2-player game. And then you have a regular set of cards. I think there's only 26 cards in the deck, but and then it's the hand management. You have 4 action tiles that are going to sit in front of you, so your turn is simply going to consist of drawing a card and taking an action on one of those tiles. Draw a card, take an action, draw a card, take an action. Do that 4 times alternately, and that's the end of the round. Best 2 out of 3 rounds wins the game. If 4 of those geishas favor you, you're the winner. If you win that round. And there's charm points on the geisha cards that might win the round for you. But man, this game is so interesting and it's so perfect. And when I fall in love with a board game, I ask myself, what is possibly the matter with this game? Man, I can't find anything in this game to complain about. It is incredible. It travels well. It's such a little box. We throw it in the suitcase when we fly, and it takes up a little. We could possibly play it in the airport because the cards are laid out. It takes up space about that much when you have the geisha girls out. I think you can play it in the airport, but definitely in hotel rooms or anything like that. You can take it to, throw it in your backpack and take it somewhere with you. And just a terrific game, man. I can't say enough about it. I've talked people into buying this game so many times. Hanauma Koji. Pick it up. It's cheap and it's thrilling. All right, the next game I'm going to talk about is Royal Palace. And Royal Palace is a tile selection. I guess it's a tile selection game and area control. Really majority control, I guess. You're going to have a palace of tiles, large tiles, like 9 of them maybe, and you're going to place servants on them. And if you have more servants than another person, you're going to get a bonus for that tile. And then part of your action selection is going to be taking tiles off a bigger board that have little tiles that have points on them, and you collect as many as you can. And there's a variability to how you buy those tiles on the edge of the main board to score extra points. But man, I tell you, this game doesn't get enough buzz. I'm in love with it. It's terrific. I just picked this up maybe 2 months ago, but Lori and I have played it a number of times, and it's a wonderful, wonderful game, Royal Palace. Next game I want to talk about is a game called Almond. Almond came out a few years ago. It's been 2016. So, but again, I don't really see why it's not getting a lot of buzz. It's a very fast-playing little Euro game. It has, in the city of Ulm, I think it's in South Germany, they started building a cathedral. I don't know what year, but it took them 400 years to complete the cathedral. And part of the game board is this cathedral. It's your round counter. So it's got a cute cathedral. It stands up on the board about that big. And you're going to take round count tiles that have special powers on them. And every round you put one on the cathedral. And then you you do another round and you place another tile. And you do that 10 times. So it's only 10 rounds and everybody just gets one turn in the round. So, you know, you're going to get 10 turns for the whole game. It's over with very quickly. You're going to move down the Danube River in the city of Almond and take different actions and do different things. It's a beautiful Euro game called Almond. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. And the reason that, let me talk about the reason why it prompted me to do this video about these games is there was you know, every year there's so many new board games that come out. And I think, especially recently, a lot of times games that are very, very good get overlooked because of new board games that come out, and sometimes those new board games aren't near as good. And whenever I get on Board Game Geek and see some of the rankings of games that are ranked very high, and these 10 games that I just showed you are better than a lot of those games that are ranked in the top 50 on Board Game Geek. These games are amazing. If I walked into somebody's house and I saw these 10 games sitting on their shelf, I would be like, oh, let's play those games. Pick one, any one of them. I mean, I love them all. They're all terrific, and I wanted to share them with you so that if you come across these games, and you can get them, they're relatively inexpensive if you watch for sales, and if you you know, checking out Craigslist or something like that, you can find them, and it's so much fun to play these games. Take it from the Old Bones Collector. These games are amazing, and make sure that you give them a try. So, you know, happy gaming to all of you. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Make sure you like me on whatever you like me on. I don't know, that they always say that, so I'm saying it. And have a great day, and see you next time.